So I'm Suman Pinsina, मेरा नाम सुमन पिंसिना हो। मैं mix कर so then Deepak Joshi ji stepped he was everywhere. Anytime I asked him for any help, he never said no. He said, you have to deliver the program and I will help you anything. And we had been able to deliver several programs, baby steps for years. And last year, March, we sent one of our colleagues from Washington, D.C., John Heather. John, can you stand up? So John came to Kathmandu and he met lots of people in tourism, business, Nepal Tourism Board, tourism school, and that's where we said we got to start. We're going to have a tourism conference on accessible tourism. And what could be a better place than Pokhara? You have all kinds of adventure in Pokhara from tourism perspective in Nepal. And so that's where the tourism, this conference, ICAA, gets birthed in June 2017. Then we put together a team together, and of course Pankaj is here. Pankaj, can you raise your hands? So Pankaj played a major role, and we put together a team together, and we reached out to National Federation of Disabled Nepal. I see Sudarshan Suwedi, president somewhere in the back. So Sudarshan Suwedi and Sagar Prasad. So they played a really major role from NFDN and Center for Independent Living. I'm not sure Ganesh KCG is here, he just came from Kathmandu. So Ganesh ji and his team. So then we put together a team. So at this point, I think we have a team of about 20 volunteer organizers from US as well as Nepal. So it could be really hard to work in two time zones. So we had a Skype meeting that started every week from 7:30 p.m. Nepal time and about 9 a.m. US time. And we never missed a weekly meeting. We had weekly meetings starting October, sometime second week of October until last week. And we never expected this many people. And I think we're going to have more people tomorrow. So the number is growing. Sagar, can you raise your hand so they know who you are, those who don't know you. And if you see those, so if you see those beautiful brochure and your name tag and the design, credit goes to Sagar and his team. And we also reached out to one artist in Kathmandu, so he created our initial logo. So we want to see the logo represents not just disability rights, but also tourism and adventure. And he did a wonderful job. So we found someone else in Atlanta, USA. He stepped up. He said, I will do your website. So what I mean to say is that if you have a right product, if you want to do things in the right direction, you will find endless people to come, step up to help you. We reached out to Turkish Airlines, they stepped up, and they became helpers. So we have lots of people, they stepped up to help in this place. We have those logos here, and here, I just named a few: Budaya, Turkish Airlines, NFDN, UNDP, Solvay Foundation, Embassy of India, Four Seasons, of course, our key partner, and many others, and ministries. And I'll just give the example of the Indian Embassy. I'm not sure if Indian Embassy representative is in the room, but we found few amazing work in India. I would also like to ask our panelists for today, and these are not the presentations, these are panel discussions, and format is up to the moderator, where everybody speaks 2 minutes, and then question answer. We will have a microphone on the floor. If anyone is Renal Mayer, he's the country director of UNDP, Saurabh Sharma from CBM, and Ms. K.M. Ki Wong, if I made a mistake pronouncing your name, First Secretary of Indian Embassy, and of course Mr. Deepak Joshi from Nepal Tourism Board. So I would like to invite all of you to the dais. And also after this event, at about 6:30, we're going to go out for dinner, cultural dinner at Boomerang. So there will be a bus outside, but today the bus stops because I think there's some rules in the lakeside. So bus stops about 150 feet before the restaurant. So we're going to get down there and we're going to walk about 150 feet.
Namaste. And good evening. I cannot tell you how good it is to be back in Nepal. And I cannot tell this program. I'm going to count on our panelists, a very distinguished trio of gentlemen. I hope a fourth one will be joining us. I'm going to count on them to really help open the discussion tonight. And we want this to be a discussion with all of you. But I'd like to take just a moment or two before we begin that to the people who we're talking about. People with challenges, with physical disabilities. But we saw their courage and their determination. And we said, we've got to do something. So we started with just an idea. And that's all it was. But we brought, 2 years ago, a group of wounded heroes on the Wounded Heroes Trek of Hope. These were people from the United States with physical disabilities. First responders, military veterans, others who had suffered disabling injuries. And we wanted to show people that Nepal, first of all, after the earthquake, that Nepal was still open for business. And we wanted to say, if these men and women can come to Nepal and trek, then anybody can come to Nepal and trek, right? Good. But it was more than that. We also recognized that when these men and women came here, they told a story. They told a story about who they were, about what they stood for. And their message was not, define me by what I am missing. I don't have a leg. I'm injured. I have this or that. No, they were defined by what was here in their heart, by their determination, by their courage, by their resilience. And they set an example. And this is what we seek to do. Now, Deepak, you know I'm a big fan of Nepali tourism. I want to do all we can to promote it, and this is a niche market. If Nepal really can become a leader and open this door and make tourism more accessible for people with disabilities, that's great for Nepal. It's great for the tourism industry. It's great for the economy. And that's good for everyone. But more than that, as we do this, we send a message, I think throughout this country, about reminding people what people with disabilities are capable of doing. That they are part of the society, that we have to find ways to be inclusive. We have to find ways to tap into the talents of all the people of Nepal as we seek to build for the future. And that is my hope, that as we move forward, not only will we send that message, will we change a narrative about how people are perceived in Nepal, how people with disabilities are perceived, but that we will open the door for greater opportunities in this industry for people with disabilities, and we will be working beyond this conference with many of our partners who want to do the exact same thing. So I hope that we'll see great things happen. I think that this is going to be a tremendous event. I can't believe how full the room is. Suman, did you go out and just kind of push people in, or is this truly your crowd? Well, it's fantastic to have all of you here. I'm going to sit down. We're going to turn to the panel. I'm going to ask them all to speak a bit. And yes, this issue of how accessible tourism can tie into and support our efforts to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals of the UN. That's something that we would all care about. But I'm also going to ask these gentlemen to speak about this from their hearts, from what they know, from their own experiences, because this is a new, this whole idea of accessible tourism is a new undertaking, not only here in Nepal, but in many countries. And I think we need to have this robust discussion and draw out all the different dimensions of it. So with that, I'm going to step back over here, and I'm going to turn to my colleague from the UNDP, Renaud, first, and ask if you would start the discussion. I know what the UNDP does at least. I used to work with these guys, and I have great respect for them and for all of our panelists. So Renaud, I'm going to pass you the mic and ask if you'd offer a few words.
Thank you very much, Ambassador, and namaste, namaskar to all of you. My name is Renaud Meyer, and I'm the country director of the United Nations Development Program here in Nepal. I've been here for just over 3 years, which oddly enough makes me a little bit of a veteran in the development partners world. So I'm very happy to be able to share some of that experience with you. It actually started through the beauty of social media. My first reflex, like maybe too many of us, when we wake up in the morning, we open the eye and we grab the phone from the bedside table and we start looking at our tweets. To me, it was the convergence of many issues that we were discussing in the UNDP office. 3 years ago when I arrived, one of the first unfortunate activities that overtook the day never quite became the same as before. And a lot of our effort was, of course, towards earthquake recovery, earthquake response. And throughout the response, somewhere in the back of my mind, came the observation, like in many countries, people with disability are not seen. We don't see them in society. And you really have to, find ways of discovering where they are. Due to many issues, but mostly social cultural stigma, unfortunately, it takes a while to realize when you arrive in a country that, like many other countries, roughly on average, the percentage of population that has disability is the same in all countries. So they have to be somewhere. So we started digging, and we found them, of course. And then what we found in Nepal is, again, unfortunately, as bad as in many other countries in terms of isolation, stigma, inequalities, unequal access to services from the government, even from civil society, certainly from private sector. So we felt in the UN compelled to really do something about it. The reason is simple. The UN is here first and foremost for the people, and the people means all the people. Now, linking to the theme of the discussion of this panel, Sustainable Development Goals, I don't know how many of you are familiar with what is called the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals. So those who are not, we have brought this little pocket-sized booklet, which is literally just behind this wall on the table. We have English and Nepali versions available for you to pick up, and they will describe to you what the SDGs are. But to make a long story short, this, despite its size, is a historical document related to humankind. And I'm not exaggerating. It is the first time in the history of mankind that the international community has managed to reach a consensus, a political agreement in the United Nations to come up with a common agenda, 17 common objectives that every single member states of the UN, from the small island of Nauru in the Pacific to the US, and of course through Nepal, have adopted. 17 goals. Now we could do a quiz quickly and to see if anybody disagrees with having access to clean water, with having access to quality education, with having access to affordable medicine, clean environment, political freedom, human rights. Name any 17 plus values, principles that we as human beings, irrespective of where we are, irrespective of our ability or disability, we want to have for ourselves and for our children. I challenge you, they will be in this little booklet. Right? So a wonderful common agenda for us all. And in this booklet, 3 times you will see mentioned tourism, because this is about tourism. And Nepal, we all know, has huge untapped tourism potential. The Prime Minister, in a statement he gave Tuesday in Kathmandu, highlighted again how the tourism sector for Nepal is one of the key sectors for economic development. It says economic development, you say job creation. You say job creation, you have increased income. You say increased income, you have less poverty. All those values are in this agenda. Now, this agenda, like many products in our marketed world, has a tagline. The tagline of the SDGs, beyond those principles that I've referred to, is a very interesting one. Well, it means that anything you do when you look at development has to be done, 1, in a participatory way, Don't take decisions for other people. Let them take their own decisions. Listen to their voice. Make space for them. But also be inclusive in the solutions that you bring. And a country like Nepal, and I'm sure you are all familiar with them, and they will come up with stories of feeling disempowered, of not having their rights recognized, of not feeling like they're being treated equal. Look at this panel. Isn't there something missing? I'm looking at the front row and those beautiful ladies. Isn't there something missing here? Right? This is a completely gender-blind panel. Right? So organizers, lesson number one, right? Let's make sure that we don't have men panels. We need to have gender-balanced panels. Right? Small steps that we have to take are absolutely required in a country like Nepal, where we take too many things for granted here. We need a gender revolution, we need a social inclusion revolution in this country. And this is what the tagline of Leave No One Behind is all about. So when I looked at the title of this conference, Accessible Adventure, Accessible Tourism, it was being person, irrespective of its ability or disability, can enjoy the beauty of this country. The final point, and I'm sure we'll go back to questions, answers, and discussions, I also want to share with you this roll-up. This is here. This is a small posters that we have developed with our colleagues from the UN team in Nepal that articulates the SDGs and the principles behind sustainable development with issues of disability. Right? So we have unpacked each of the 17 that's available in English and in Nepali behind this wall for pickup. We would want the community to use this as an accountability mechanism. We now just had elections in Nepal. You all have a mayor. You all have a promise to you that by 2030 we will achieve in Nepal all those objectives. And this is, we think, a good instrument for you to remind them from your perspective what those SDGs mean for us as people with disabilities. It is their commitment, it is their promise. The speech, we're very good in the UN to make long speeches, so I'm very aware of it. So I want to limit myself and also come back later. Thanks, Ambassador.
Thank you, Renaud. I think the length was just perfect. Thank you very much. You made a couple of very important points, though, and we'll come back to them and discuss them. But one of the things that he said, Nepal's ambassador, you know what people said to me? They said, Excellency, Nepal has tremendous untapped potential for hydroelectric power. I said, this is 28 years. What's going on? We need to tap into and recognize this. And as Nepalis, and I think of myself as a Nepali, you didn't know that Delisi is a Nepali name, but it is. When I'm in the United States, I talk to different groups. There are groups who are Raj, right? I talked to a group of people from the Tarayan Association of America. The question was, please go pick up those little brochures on the SDGs. These are incredibly important, and they will be a narrative that you can work everything you do and build your narrative around this. So thank you very much, Renaud. Deepak, we're moving into a whole new area for Nepal, something that people haven't thought about a few years ago. As a representative of the Nepal Tourism Board, we are delighted and grateful for your partnership, and I'd really welcome your thoughts on how you see this evolving in the future of tourism in Nepal. Let me pass you the mic.
Thank you, Mr. Scott.
I know we have another panelist here, so I would like to invite you from Indian Embassy, Mr. JVM. I know I can lost.
Welcome. Thank you, Scott. First of all, I would like to welcome all the foreign delegates to this amazing city, Pokhara. I believe Pokhara is one of the most beautiful places on earth, and the Pokhara people, they are one of the most friendly people on earth. So enjoy the beauty of Pokhara. and feel safe with the friendly people. I'm just now asked to speak in Nepali. Basically, सुरुमा यो टुरिज्ममा सस्टेनेबल टुरिज्म भन्दा बित्तिकै मलाई र मलाई लाग्छ हाम्रो इन्डस्ट्रीका सबै साथीहरूलाई एउटा इम्प्रेसन के थियो भने सस्टेनेबल टुरिज्म भनेकै कलरमा हरियो, कलर इन ग्रिन, अनि यसको रूपमा चाहिँ खोला नाला रुख पानी यही, अनि एक्टिभिटीमा चाहिँ अलिकति यो गाउँतिर घुम्ने समुदाय घुम्ने त्यति नै हो जस्तो लाग्थ्यो। मलाई स्टिल वी हेभ द्याट पर्सेप्सन। तर अहिले बुझ्दै जाँदा यसको पाटोहरू यति धेरै रहेछ कि अब हामीले इग्नोर गरेका कुराहरू धेरै नै रहेछन्। आई थिङ्क अन्टिल 2 years ago यो एउटा सेगमेन्ट चाहिँ टोटली इग्नोर, हामीलाई नोटिस नै, इग्नोर त नभनौँ, नोटिस नै थिएन। 2016मा UNWTOले यो टुरिज्म फर अल भन्ने एउटा ग्लोबल स्लोगन ल्याइसकेपछि अनि नेपालमा पनि अनि हामीलाई आई थिङ्क स्कर सुमन दाई, पङ्कजजी, प्रसाईजी उहाँहरूको ग्रुपसँग कता कता हामी पनि कनेक्ट हुन थाल्यौँ अनि यसले हामीलाई क्लिक गर्यो। र पछि के थाहा भयो भने यो त एउटा टुरिज्ममा एकदमै स्ट्रङ सेगमेन्ट हो भन्ने कुरा पनि थाहा भयो। र पछिल्लो दिनमा अर्को कुरा पनि के भएको छ भने अहिले नयाँ कन्स्टिट्युसनको लागू भइसकेपछि यो एउटा बलियो टुरिज्मको सेगमेन्ट त हो नै, तर मोर देन टुरिज्मको सेगमेन्ट यो चाहिँ एउटा लार्जर देन द्याट एउटा ह्युमन इस्यु पनि हो। यो सबै हाम्रो फ्रेन्डली हुनुपर्छ भन्ने लाइनमा त्यही हिसाबले हामीले यहाँ यो कार्यक्रममा बोलाउँदाखेरि पनि इन्डस्ट्रीका सिनियर लिडर्सहरू, ट्रेडको साथीहरू, लोकल गभर्मेन्ट म्युनिसिपालिटिजको प्रतिनिधिहरू, पोलिसी इन्फ्लुएन्सर्सहरू, मिडियाको मान्छेहरू पनि इन्भाइट गरेका छौँ ताकि अगाडि यसलाई अगाडि बढाउन सकियोस् भन्ने लाइनमा। अहिले हामी हाम्रो डेभलपमेन्टको स्टेजको कुरा गर्ने हो भने वी आर इन अ भेरी अर्ली स्टेज। अब अन्डरस्ट्यान्डिङकै फेजमा छौँ भनौँ, कति चिज हामीले सिक्नुपर्ने छ। तर छिट्टै हामीलाई के विश्वास छ भने वी आर हियर टु लर्न मोर, लिसन मोर, र त्यसपछि वी आर गोइङ टु एडभोकेट, वी आर गोइङ टु अन्डरस्ट्यान्ड मोर, and then certainly we are going to develop and promote more. Thank you, Mr. This is my host.
Thank you very much, Deepak. You know, it is important for the government, for all of us, to learn more and to understand more. And the idea that you have brought these senior leaders together so that they have the ability and the opportunity to begin that process is an important thing. But it is equally then incumbent upon all of us to make sure we take advantage of the presence here today and tomorrow of many of these senior folks to begin that conversation and to begin that dialogue, to shape the understanding, and it shouldn't end after 2 days either. This is something that we have to continue to do. I know our partners here are committed to continuing this effort, and we'll all be working together as we do that. And now I'd like to turn to Mr. Sharma, representing CBM, which I did not know a lot about. But they have been operating for 115 years, 36 years, is that correct, in Nepal? And their commitment to inclusiveness, to working with people with disabilities, to addressing the SDGs, questions of human rights, of empowerment, of economic growth and opportunity, of good health. I commend the work that you are doing, but I'm going to let you talk about that work and share your views on the subject, Mr. Sharma.
Thank you so much. First of all, I would like to welcome and greet everybody here. I am Saurabh Sharma, working with CBM International for the last 5 years. Mr. Scott already told about CBM actually. CBM is International Disability Development Organization, working worldwide, more than 40 countries operating, and including that number of nations, actually we are 55 plus in country. And we are operating in Nepal for last 36 years. Basically, we started with the eye care, prevention of the blindness in Nepal, and then we moved into the different other disability and then sectors. So that's all about CBM, and then I actually come back to the issue. I also feel comfortable in talking in Nepali. मलाई माफ गर्नु होला, म नेपालीमा कुरा गर्न गइरहेको छु। आजको यसमा एउटा चाहिँ सिफ्ट चाहिँ मैले चाहिँ भेटेको छु। यो सुरुमा जसरी NFDN हाम्रो साझेदार संस्था हो नेपालमा काम गर्ने, र NFDN र पङ्कजी मार्फत चाहिँ हामी चाहिँ यो भनौँ न कन्फरेन्समा चाहिँ पार्टिसिपेसन अथवा पार्टनरसिपमा चाहिँ अगाडि बढ्यौँ। यो सिफ्ट चाहिँ तपाईँको चाहिँ एक्सेसिबिलिटी, पहिला हामीले डिसेबिलिटी फ्रेन्डली अप्रोच जुन सोच्छौँ नि, डिसेबिलिटी फ्रेन्डली अप्रोच, त्यसको सिफ्ट चाहिँ अब चाहिँ बिस्तारै हुँदैछ। त्यो सिफ्ट चाहिँ के भन्दा युनिभर्सल डिजाइन पर्सपेक्टिभ। त्यो भनेको के, अब आज तपाईँ कतिजना यो होटलमा बस्नुहुन्छ अथवा आज पहिलोपटक छिर्नुभयो, त्यहाँ कुनै अपाङ्गता भएको व्यक्ति अथवा तपाईँको कुनै त्यो इस्युलाई एड्रेस गर्न लागेको जस्तो देखिँदैन क्या। त्यहाँ एभ्रिथिङ इज एक्सेसिबल। तपाईँको त्यो अप्रोच नै युनिभर्सल डिजाइनमा केन्द्रित छ। त्यहाँको वासरुमहरू जाउँ हामी, त्यहाँ तपाईँको चाहिँ हरेक काउन्टरमा जाउँ, त्यो अटोमेटिकली तपाईँको चाहिँ सबैको निडहरू चाहिँ एड्रेस गरेर चाहिँ बनाइएको हुन्छ। यो सिफ्टलाई चाहिँ अब हामीले सोच्दै गर्दाखेरि यसमा विभिन्न कुराहरू आउँछन्। मैले आज कुरा गर्दै गर्दाखेरि किन यो चाहिन्छ त, होइन? सबभन्दा पहिलो चाहिँ हाम्रो CRPD छ। तपाईँलाई धेरैजनालाई थाहा छ, अपाङ्गतामा काम गर्ने साथीहरूलाई, र जसलाई थाहा छैन, एक्चुअली दिस CRPD, UN CRPD guideline, that is a binding to every states worldwide. That is a treaty that government, many states actually signed, and Nepal also signed long back. त्यसमा चाहिँ राइट्सको कुरा गरिएको छ, अपाङ्गता भएको व्यक्तिहरूको अधिकारको कुरा गरिएको छ। त्यसको इम्प्लिमेन्टेसन गर्नलाई पनि हामीले हाम्रो सोचहरू, हाम्रो कामहरू चाहिँ त्यो बेरियरहरूलाई भत्काउने र तपाईँको चाहिँ युनिभर्सल डिजाइनतिर जानलाई चाहिँ काम गर्नुपर्ने देखिन्छ। यो चाहिँ प्राइमेरीली स्टेटको लागि हुन्छ र स्टेटसँग सबै जोडेर आउने तपाईँको निकाय र तपाईँको चाहिँ सङ्घ संस्था व्यक्तिहरू चाहिँ स्टेटभित्र रहने हुनाले हरेक व्यक्तिको दायित्वभित्र पर्छ। यो अझै पनि वर्ल्ड तपाईँको अनइक्वालिटी चाहिँ के छ भन्दाखेरि बढी चाहिँ तपाईँको सामाजिक मुद्दाले गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ त्यो चाहिँ भनौँ न त्यस्तो अवस्था छ र त्यसलाई एड्रेस गर्नुपर्छ भनेर पहिलो 6वटा मुद्दा सामाजिकमा छ भने बाँकी तपाईँको चाहिँ विभिन्न क्षेत्रमा छ। र हामीले आज एक्सेसिबिलिटीमा पहुँचेकोमा कुरा गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ पर्टिकुलरली तपाईँको चाहिँ पब्लिक ग्रिन स्पेस, होइन, पार्टनरसिप लगायतका कुराहरूमा चाहिँ स्पष्ट रूपमा चाहिँ आएको छ। अब यसले अर्थतन्त्रमा के ल्याउँछ त, होइन, किन भन्ने कुरामा चाहिँ तपाईँको इट्स पोटेन्सियल टु तपाईँको चाहिँ बिजनेस ग्रोथ, होइन। यसले चाहिँ तपाईँको चाहिँ अर्थतन्त्रलाई चलायमान राख्न बनाउन मद्दत गर्छ। यसले चाहिँ भनौँ न तपाईँको चाहिँ बजारलाई तपाईँको चाहिँ वृद्धि गर्छ। त्यसै गरी तपाईँको अर्को इम्पोर्टेन्ट पार्ट के छ भने हामीले भुइँचालोबाट पनि सिक्यौँ यो कुरा, होइन। वी हेभ लर्न फ्रम द अर्थक्वेक। सेफ्टी एन्ड रिस्क रेजिलियन्ट हामीले बनाउने संरचनाहरू यदि हामीले चाहिँ युनिभर्सल डिजाइनमा केन्द्रित भएर बनाउन सक्यौँ र सबै खालको व्यक्तिहरूको पहुँचमा तपाईँको चाहिँ भनौँ न सुरुमै इन्स्योर गर्न सक्यौँ र त्यो रेजिलियन्ट गराउन सक्यो भने चाहिँ त्यसले सेफ्टी र रिस्कको चाहिँ रेजिलियन्ट चाहिँ हुन्छ। त्यसले चाहिँ भनौँ न त्यो चाहिँ अब कोपिङ तपाईँको चाहिँ कपासिटी चाहिँ बढ्छ भन्ने पोइन्ट हो। त्यसै गरी अब अर्को पनि म एउटा तपाईँलाई नेपालमा अब अझ नेपालमा तल छर्दैछु। हाम्रो तपाईँको नेपाल सरकारले नै तपाईँको चाहिँ 2069 सालमा एक्सेसिबिलिटी डाइरेक्टिभ बनाएको छ। तपाईँलाई कतिजनालाई थाहा पनि छ होला, कसैलाई थाहा छैन भने यो यहाँ डिस्प्लेमा राखिएको छ ब्याक इन NFDN स्टलमा। अपाङ्गता भएका व्यक्तिका लागि पहुँचयुक्त भौतिक संरचना तथा सञ्चार सेवा निर्देशिका 2069 भनेर यो चाहिँ अपाङ्गता भएको व्यक्तिहरू र त्यसमा काम गर्ने सङ्घ संस्थाहरू मिलेर र मन्त्रालयले चाहिँ यसलाई चाहिँ पास गरेर ल्याएको कुरा हो। अब यसले के गर्छ भन्दा हामीले किन पनि गर्नुपर्छ भन्दा यो इम्प्लिमेन्टेसन, यो डाइरेक्टिभलाई हामीले इम्प्लिमेन्टेसन गर्ने पनि यो अवसर हो। यो सबै लगायतका कुराहरूलाई चाहिँ हामीले चाहिँ एड्रेस गर्नलाई चाहिँ हामीले आज एक्सेसिबिलिटीको चाहिँ एकदमै जरुरी छ। एक्सेसिबिलिटीमा कुरा गर्नु जरुरी छ। यसको चाहिँ तपाईँको चाहिँ प्रमोसन, अवेरनेस र यसको चाहिँ हामीलाई भनौँ न एक हिसाबले दायित्व बोध सिर्जना हुने अवस्थासम्म चाहिँ हामी पुग्नुपर्ने चाहिँ देखिन्छ। यसलाई छुटाउन सक्दैनौँ किनकि आज अघि डाटाको कुरा गर्नुभयो, यहाँ डाटा नेपालको रिलायबल छ मान्दैनौँ हामी। अपाङ्गतामा काम गर्ने संस्थाले 2% भन्नु 1.94%लाई चाहिँ हामीले सिलगुडी एक्चुअली डिसएग्री। तथापि तपाईँको त्यो 2%लाई पनि तपाईँको चाहिँ काम गर्नु भने धेरै कामहरू चाहिँ गर्न बाँकी छ र उहाँहरूलाई यदि हामीले छोड्यो भने चाहिँ त्यो लिभ नो अन बिहाइन्ड भन्ने चाहिँ कहिले पनि पुरा हुँदैन। त्यो चाहिँ क्लियर छ। तपाईँको चाहिँ हाम्रो के छ भन्दा सेफगार्ड पर्टिकुलरली कस्तो भने कल्चर र नेचुरल हेरिटेज साइटहरूलाई सेफगार्ड गर्ने छ र त्यसको एक्सेसिबिलिटीको कुराहरू छ। हामीले किन तपाईँले अब अपाङ्गता भएको व्यक्तिहरूलाई एउटा होटलमा एउटा तपाईँको चाहिँ घरमा सुविधा भएर हुन्छ र होटलमा अथवा तपाईँको चाहिँ उहाँहरूको आफ्नो दैनिकी, उहाँहरूको क्रियाकलाप, रिक्रिएसन हरेक क्षेत्रमा हुने हुँदाखेरि त्यो त्यसको चाहिँ अडिट गर्ने, एक्सेसिबिलिटी अडिट गर्ने, त्यसै गरी तपाईँको चाहिँ त्यहाँ चाहिँ करेक्टिभ तपाईँको चाहिँ एक्सनहरू लिएर त्यति संरचनाहरूले कम्तीमा तपाईँको चाहिँ युनिभर्सल डिजाइन हुन नसके तापनि हामीले चाहिँ एउटा रिजनेबल एकोमोडेसनको पोइन्ट अफ भ्यूबाट चाहिँ त्यसलाई चाहिँ अगाडि बढाउनुपर्छ भनेर चाहिँ काठमाडौँमा चाहिँ भ्यालीमा पर्टिकुलरली र अपको अफेक्टेड डिस्ट्रिक्टहरूमा चाहिँ काम गरिरहेको अवस्था छ। त्यसै गरी अर्को एउटा इम्पोर्टेन्ट तपाईँको चाहिँ इन्डिकेटर के छ भने हामीले चाहिँ युनिभर्सल एक्सेस टु सेफ इन्क्लुसिभ एन्ड एक्सेसिबल ग्रिन पब्लिक प्लेसेसको पुरा स्पष्टसँग लेखिएको छ। तर त्यो यदि हामीले गर्न सकेनौँ भने हामीले चाहिँ एसडिजी तपाईँको चाहिँ गोल नम्बर 11 एचिभ गर्नै सक्दैनौँ होइन। अब त्यो क्यास्केड जसरी इन्टरनेसनल अब यो ग्लोबल गोल भयो, त्यसपछि कन्ट्री गोल भयो, त्यसपछि अब यो प्रदेश सरकारमा आउला, त्यसपछि स्थानीय सरकारमा आउला र त्यसपछि हाम्रा सङ्घ संस्था व्यक्तिहरूमा आउला। हामीले हरेक व्यक्तिले म आज एप्लिकेसन पनि आज हेर्दै थिएँ, मैले एउटा डाउनलोड एसडिजीको एउटा एप्लिकेसन हेर्दै अब कसले बनाएको मलाई थाहा भएन, मैले त्यो भेटेर डाउनलोड गरेर यो तपाईँको आउँदाखेरि हेर्दै आइरहेको थिएँ। त्यहाँ थुप्रै कुराहरू रहेछ, हामीले व्यक्तिगत रूपमा मैले के गर्न सक्दो रहेछु भन्ने रहेछ। अनि तपाईँको चाहिँ यसले हामीलाई धेरै अपर्च्युनिटी चाहिँ छ कि अपर्च्युनिटी काम गर्न चाहिँ दिइराखेको अवस्था चाहिँ छ। र अब एसडिजीलाई हामीले यदि तपाईँको चाहिँ भनौँ न प्राप्त गर्ने यो लक्ष्यहरूलाई कन्ट्रिब्युट गर्ने हो भने चाहिँ डेफिनेटली हामीले चाहिँ त्यही दृष्टिकोणबाट सोच्नुपर्ने हुन्छ। हाम्रो दायित्वबोधहरू तपाईँको चाहिँ भनौँ न एज अ सिटिजन एज अ तपाईँको चाहिँ नागरिक चाहिँ त्यसरी सोच्नुपर्ने हुन्छ भने अब यो एसडिजी तपाईँको चाहिँ एउटा रोड म्याप हो है, एउटा रोड म्याप हो, ग्लोबल रोड म्याप हो। यसमा हामीले फलो गरेर काम गर्छौँ, एउटा टार्गेट अथवा तपाईँको टार्गेटहरू दिएको छ। नाउ when we talk about the CRPD is the binding document. यो चाहिँ स्टेटले गर्नै पर्छ, स्टेटले रिपोर्ट गर्नुपर्छ। अस्ति तपाईँको फाउन्ड चाहिँ हामीले पनि गर्नुपर्ने चाहिँ छ। त्यसै गरी आर्टिकल 4 मा तपाईँको जेनरल अप्लिकेसन छ, त्यसमा चाहिँ के भन्छ भन्दा प्रमोसन, युनिभर्सल डिजाइनको प्रमोसन र सँगसँगै तपाईँको चाहिँ जति पनि बेरियरहरू छ त्यो बेरियरहरू चाहिँ तपाईँको चाहिँ मोडिफाई गर्ने अथवा एबोलिस गर्ने बेरियरहरू। त्यसै गरी अर्को आर्टिकल 3 मा चाहिँ प्रिन्सिपल अफ नन डिस्क्रिमिनेसन मा चाहिँ एकदम क्लियर प्रोटेक्सन गर्ने तपाईँको लहरू बनिसकेको अवस्था धेरै नेपालमा। तथापि तपाईँको के हो भने चाहिँ आवश्यकता र तपाईँको चाहिँ क्लियर केस भन्छ त्यो चाहिँ गर्न पाइन्छ, नन डिस्क्रिमिनेसन पोलिसी हो। र यदि तपाईँको कुरा गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ अब हामीले तपाईँको यदि तपाईँले त भएको व्यक्तिहरूको मात्रै इस्यु चाहिँ अब अहिले हामीले जुन युनिभर्सल डिजाइनको कुरा गरिरहेको छौँ, एक्सेसिबिलिटीको कुरा गरिरहेको छौँ, अब हामी पनि भोलि बुढो हुन्छौँ है, वी आर टु बिकमिङ ओल्ड, वी हेभ टु निड व्हीलचेयर, वी हेभ टु निड सपोर्ट टु वर्क, एन्ड इन द्याट टाइम एक्सेसिबिलिटी। सो व्हाई नट वी वर्क नाउ एन्ड इन्जॉय मोर इन द्याट इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर। सो लेट्स पुट टुगेदर and then that let's really make awareness and then promote accessible models. We partner with the TQs and then government. Let's substate for examples. Tomorrow we are going to have some.
And I hope that the honorable member will take this back to some of his colleagues and begin to think about this. And I hope that your voices, that you will ensure that your voices are heard. Because I know at times it doesn't seem that people listen, but it does matter. That you're going to be included. This is the challenges of inclusion. And we were just talking about this today. One of my partners is going to be holding a training on April 25th, the commemoration of the third anniversary of the Gorkha quake. But for the first time that I know of, and I spent a lot of time thinking about disaster risk reduction and preparedness and the importance of training, but this training, they are insistent, will include seniors and people with disabilities who are so often forgotten when it comes to these sorts of things. So that aspect of accessibility and inclusion, making sure that people are not invisible, is too part of what we will do. And now I'm going to turn to our colleague from the Indian Embassy. Very grateful for your attendance as well and for the support of the Indian Embassy. As somebody who once represented a bilateral diplomatic mission, I truly believe that these partnerships matter tremendously. And when we have partners in the international community who care about these issues, who engage the government of Nepal constructively on these issues, and who reach out and also engage civil society and others in Nepal and support these concepts, these ideas, these values, that's a good thing. So I applaud the Indian Embassy for their contribution. We're delighted to have you here. And may I ask for a few words from our dear colleague.
Greetings, all angels. On behalf of the Ambassador of India in Nepal, I would like to thank all the angels here. I would rather say that this is not a kind of expert panel which I am going to speak. However, it's kind of expressing how much we have been trying and how much we have been achieved in this field. So, in the first place, let me first introduce India itself. India is a huge country, and India is a destination of all kinds of tourists, including differently able persons, the old as well as weak persons. India being a diverse country, it accommodates people from all walks of life. By nature, the Indian people are kind of the sick, weak, and differently able persons, even in the trains, the buses, etc. If you find somebody in the bus with a differently able person, we always give special care, and it is, I believe, the nature of the people itself. And I found it also personally, even in Kathmandu, wherever we have these angels, we always take care. It's very, very nice to see. And mainly in this subject, we have the Ministry of Tourism in India, there's the Government of India. We have a policy that those running hotels and travel agents especially, they should have a special provisions for the differently able persons. The provisions we mean like the access when we enter the hotel, or even the travel agents when they enter any foreign tourist or local tourist, they should have the facility to guide, to help our angels. That is a standing instruction. And hotels are supposed to keep special rooms and special toilets or special bathrooms which is specially designed for differently able persons, like the angels we have here. And the approved travel agents should keep provisions for differently able and all persons. Hotels and travel agents who do not comply with the tourism department instructions are later deprived of their permits if they don't comply with this. And the Indian airports have now the access and assistance for differently able persons, old and infirm, each as a whole. And as part of the Government of India policy towards the differently able persons, the Indian Embassy provides ambulances, buses, I hope you all know, to schools and institutions for the differently able children. The Indian Embassy is building schools, health posts, especially in the remote areas, and libraries that have features for access by our differently able persons who are angels. Scholarships annually for the Nepali nationals, Nepali students. 3,000 scholarships annually. And out of these 3,000 scholarships, we utilize 2,200 scholarships in Nepal itself for those who study in Nepal. And out of these 2,200, we have 200 scholarships for those who study graduate. That means those who study MBBS, science stream, art stream. And the other is class 12. So we concentrate on those who are really in need of the scholarships. The priority goes to our differently able persons, the students, those who could not see, those who are really having problems. And we have been selectively picking up those applicants and the candidates who are differently able, whether they score good marks or not. We simply take it and put it in the scholarship awardee so that they all get it. This year, just before I came yesterday, I counted. This year we could include just around, I see just around 4. I was paying way so less applications were received from our angels. I would request that next year, so much of applicants should come from our differently able children where the institutions and the schools are. I would like to inform this to all of you so that you just propagate. It would be open again sometime in February, January, February, probably starting from December. So we normally announce in the newspaper and also in our website. Kindly apply for this so that we are giving all this category as priority. And we
Thank you very much, Mr. Kevin, and thank you for helping to set the stage, all of the panelists, I think. Tomorrow we'll talk more about tourism. But I think that tonight we've begun the discussion about inclusiveness, accessibility, government roles, sustainable goals, all the things that are the underpinning for what we'll discuss as we go forward tomorrow, but the discussion's not yet done. Now it's the opportunity to hear from our colleagues here, especially, I hope, from some of the women. I think your point was well taken about the gender imbalance, but I know we can remedy that quickly. I think there's going to be a microphone available. The only thing that I would ask, and I know how enthusiastic some of you can be, and I admire that enthusiasm, but I've also seen questions from the floor, or comments from the floor, that can go about 23 minutes long. And the person didn't even stop to catch a breath. So please, I would merely ask, try to keep your comments focused, relatively short, so that both panelists can respond to any specific questions you may have, and so that others in the room will also have the opportunity to share their views, because we do want this to be a good and full discussion, and we want to hear from you. So please, I think we are ready. We're just about.
This is Nepal for many years, and this segment of tourism was something has been in my mind for a long time. I've been especially working with something similar to this agenda years ago, and I'm very thankful to Ambassador Delisi, who told me about this program, and I was really excited, and I just enrolled myself through the website of the program. And I'm curious to know, in the next 2 days, I've been thinking about adventure tourism. I know it's a very difficult field, but that is where you see Nepal and the beauty of the Himalayas. And it is not something impossible for differently abled people. We have Nepal Tourism Board here, and I'm also hopeful that we have somebody representing the government here too, The Nepal Tourism Board is also a part of the government, but from the Ministry of Tourism, if someone represented here, I think some action could be immediately taken on how you could start something in this area of Nepal, Pokhara, and northwards towards the Annapurna area. How we could create a package, a product that is accessible for differently abled people. There's a whole lot of issues that could be related to the challenges for Nepal's tourism sector to tap this market. This is not only just for the economic development, it's not only to meet the sustainable development goals, which is an important agenda, but it also is a very big sector for social improvement, the mental improvement. Considering our socio-cultural situation, this section of the society is just ignored. So now I think this is a wonderful initiative. The organizers have taken the step to launch this program. And I'm very excited to learn from you all the next few days, tomorrow and day after. And thank you very much, Ambassador Delisi, for having me over here also. Thank you.
Any comments in there?
And delegates, distinguished person, and ladies and gentlemen, press and media. First of all, I would like to welcome all in Pokhara. It's a beautiful city. And at the same time, thank you so much for organizing such a eye-opening program in Pokhara. I've been working in trekking tourism since more than 22 years, but something is I never heard before, which is going to be milestone in the tourism industry in this country, and this is basically just an eye-opening program. And I've been also through a lot of travel adventures all over the world. But I never think about this issue also. Definitely it will play the great role in the community, in the society, in human beings' life and economy of this country. But I just like to say, I just like to humbly thank you so much for organizing this such a great event, and which is going to be biggest milestone for this industry and country. Thank you so much, and once again welcome to you all. And I do volunteer in trekking tourism as a president in Trekking Agency Association of Nepal Western Region Association. Thank you so much.
Deepak, hold the mic a moment. This is a discussion, so I've got a question for you. You said this was that there are things that are eye-opening. What is one of the things that is for you has been eye-opening about this discussion?
So thank you so much. Directly, indirectly, we've been into this. I didn't know the correct word to address this sort of situation. We've been knowingly, unknowingly, we've been through this sort of, the people from all over the world. But we didn't know exactly how to address with the polite word. I mean, we have all kinds of people that have a dream to come to this country. But definitely, we have a 153 trekking company in Pokhara. So what I can do, definitely we may need to run something, how to handle the accessible tourism in this region. Definitely we will come to Nepal through the Nepal Tourism Board, how we can manage, how to handle, and definitely we'll go through the website and marketing process also, how to handle local, domestic and international tourism. But still we are raw, we don't know much about it, but definitely we come back to Nepal Tourism Board and all these organizations here, and then we'll learn more. Definitely we're looking for involving in these things and work hand together. And we'll go for it. Thank you, sir.
Any other question?
Thanks so much. I'm really, it's a great pleasure to be the part of this conference actually. मलाई चाहिँ मैले कारणमै भन्छु मलाई चाहिँ एकदम खुसी लागेको छ यो इन्टरनेसनल कन्फरेन्स अन एसेसिबल एडभेन्चरमा पार्ट लिएकोमा सो फर्स्ट अफ अल त उहाँहरूलाई एकदम धेरै थ्याङ्क यू भन्न चाहन्छु अनि त्यस्तै गरी मलाई यो यसमा स्पोन्सर गरिदिनुहुने हाम्रो दाइ हरि दाइलाई पनि एकदम धेरै थ्याङ्क यू भन्न चाहन्छु त्यस्तै गरेर मलाई क्वेसन चाहिँ के सोध्नु मन लागेको भन्दाखेरि हाम्रो टुरिज्मको सर दिपक सरलाई यो त स्टार्टिङ भएको छ सो हाम्रो नेपालमा चाहिँ के छ भन्दाखेरि लाइक अब फिजिकली च्यालेन्ज पिपलहरू चाहिँ यस्तो एडभेन्चर्स गर्न सक्दैन स्पोर्ट्स गर्न सक्दैन भन्ने एउटा मिसकन्सेप्सन छ सो आई हेभ बिन लाइक स्पोर्ट्स सेक्टरमै छु म अहिले चाहिँ एक्टिभ प्लेयर नै हो म र एडभेन्चर पनि एकदम लभिङ पर्सन हो सो सरलाई चाहिँ के भन्न चाहन्छु नि यसमा चाहिँ further plans, policies and programs or case if this the case we are always with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. As far body the suggestions of the we have to think more your issue now. Industry partnership यस्तो एडभेन्चर एक्टिभिटीमा अलिकति इङ्गेज गर्न सकिने कुनै क्रिएटिभ प्रोग्रामहरू छ भने फेरि आउनुहोस् होइन हामी सफल गरेर बस्ने प्रोड्युसिङ सुरु गरौँला र यस्ता प्रोग्रामहरूले मलाई लाग्छ ओपन अप जान्छ अनि यो ओभरनाइट हुने कुरो पनि होइन होपफुली इन फ्यु इयर्स अफ टाइम विल ह्याभ बेटर सिचुएसन अहिले छैन अब एउटा जानकारीको लागि पर्सि मात्रै हामी एउटा यो एक्सेसिबल ट्रेकिङ ट्रेल प्रोबब्ली यो एसियाकै पहिलो हुन्छ होला त्यो यही पोखरा नजिकै एउटा डेभलप गरिसकेका छौँ त्यसको लन्चिङ पनि गर्दैछौँ
Thank you. Could I just add to this? So often I have seen people waiting for the government to come and say, okay, here's the plan. Here's the idea. You know what you can do. You know what the difference is. You know what you see. You need to help formulate the plan. Deepak said, the government, this is a new field. They're thinking about this. They're willing to engage. They want to do this. You help them figure it out. So come to them with your ideas, with a plan. Help them to structure something that will make a difference. Don't just wait for the ministry to say, or the tourism board to say, oh, now we know the answer. Because they don't. You do. Okay?
There's another question right here.
नमस्कार म चाहिँ ICAA राष्ट्रिय अपाङ्ग महासङ्घको उपाध्यक्ष र म चाहिँ महिला विकासको क्षेत्रमा विशेष गरी अपाङ्गता भएको महिलाको सवाललाई चाहिँ हरेक क्षेत्रमा चाहिँ क्रस कटिङ र इन्टरसेक्सनालिटीको हिसाबबाट एड्रेस हुनुपर्छ भनेर लामो समयदेखि काम गर्छु र म पनि एकदमै बधाई भन्न चाहन्छु यो प्रोग्राम नेपालमा पहिलोपटक यसरी चाहिँ अपाङ्गता भएको व्यक्ति र पर्यटन व्यवसाय र अन्य सेक्टर सरकार सबै भएर गरेको एकदमै खुसी लागेको छ र यसले चाहिँ राम्रो सन्देश जान्छ भन्ने मलाई पनि विश्वास छ मेरो कन्सर्न एउटा के छ भने मलाई चाहिँ अब रेमन्ड मेयरजिङ र हाम्रो पर्यटन बोर्डको सरलाई नै विशेष मेरो फोकस छ जस्तै कि अब एसडिजी गोललाई यो टुरिज्ममा मात्रै जोड्न गाह्रो भएको छैन कि अन्य क्षेत्रमा पनि अपाङ्गता भन्ने बित्तिकै एउटा मानव अधिकारको सवाल र इन्क्लुजनको सवाल हो भन्ने कुरालाई चाहिँ प्र्याक्टिसमा ल्याउनको लागि र त्यसलाई व्यवहारमा उतार्नको लागि एकदमै गाह्रो भइरहेको हामीले महसुस गरिरहेछौँ एउटा कुरा त्यसलाई कसरी गर्न सकिन्छ होइन त्यो इन्डिकेटरहरूलाई चाहिँ रिभिजन गरेर हो कि अब कसरी यहाँहरूको आइडिया के छ त्यो एकदमै समस्या भइरहेछ होइन त्यो कुराहरू छ अनि अर्को कुरा चाहिँ अपाङ्गता भएको व्यक्तिहरू हामीले हाम्रो काममा पनि छलफल गर्ने गर्छौँ जस्तै अपाङ्गता भएको व्यक्तिहरूलाई चाहिँ यो टुरिज्म सेक्टरमा एउटा रोजगार क्रिएट गर्नको लागि एउटा उत्पादनशील नागरिक बनाउनको लागि कस्तो खालको हामीले कामहरू गर्न जरुरी छ भन्ने कुरा एउटा छ भने अर्को चाहिँ वैदेशिक हुन्छ नि विदेशबाट नेपालमा भ्रमण गर्न आउने व्यक्तिहरूको लागि नेपाल एकदमै अघि इन्डियामा भन्नु पनि केही कुराहरू राम्रो कुराहरू भन्नुभयो अझै त्यहाँ पनि होला सुधार गर्नुपर्ने कुरा तर नेपालमा चाहिँ नेपाल चाहिँ एकदमै तपाईँहरूको लागि वेलकम छ र हाम्रो यातायात क्षेत्र होटलहरू सबै कुराहरूमा चाहिँ हामी राम्ररी तपाईँहरूलाई सेवा दिन सक्छौँ र उहाँहरूको जुन यहाँ नेपाल आउने जुन इच्छा छ हामीसँग धेरै भन्नुहुन्छ हामीलाई धेरै कुराहरूमा गाह्रो छ भनेर हामी भनिरहन्छौँ त्यो कुराको अन्त्य गरेर हामीले अब सरकारलाई चाहिँ कस्तो खालको सुझावहरू दिन सक्छौँ होइन जुन चाहिँ नीतिगत रूपमा परिवर्तन नगरिकन हामीले कार्यक्रममा मात्रै गर्नलाई पनि गाह्रो हुन सक्छ कि भन्ने मलाई चाहिँ लागेको छ यही कुराहरूको चाहिँ तपाईँहरूबाट सुझाव अपेक्षा गर्छु धन्यवाद
Thanks very much for the good question and good to see you here. On the first point, I mean, this is something that is always challenging. How do you mainstream, the issue of disability in public policy, basically, if I understood the question correctly? I think there's a lot of important milestones in Nepal, and you don't have to go way back too far. I mean, we've mentioned already the Convention on the Rights of People with Disability, CRPD, and this, the country is a signatory to it. In your constitution, the 2015 constitution recognizes so many fundamental rights as constitutional rights now. Your most recent piece of legislation is the Disability Rights Act of 2017. And again, this is very qualitative, documents, legislative frameworks. Now, a lot of people become cynical about those documents because they say, oh, this is just, principles and intentions and never translates. Well, yes, that's a correct statement also. In many countries and many places, it's difficult to translate a good intention into an action. But I will link it to what we discussed earlier. And when I arrived in Nepal, it didn't take me long to realize that, as I said earlier, the community of people with disability, irrespective of what the disability is not visible. We don't see them. they're not anywhere. Now why? Because going back to your point about adventure, if having any disability, just going out of my house to my office is already an adventure, honestly, in Kathmandu. There's public works everywhere. They dig trenches every night. They dig a new trench, and any pavement is never thought, through the eyes of somebody with a disability. So, what can be done? The legislation is in place, but it's not complied with. Right now, this is where civil society becomes so fundamental. This is where NFDN, is really the spokesperson for the community. So my only recommendation to you is make yourself more visible. Make yourself more loud in your claim. And I think the elections that the country just went through, 2017, should really be seen again as another key milestone. Before, you only interacted with appointed bureaucrats, in any administration you would go. Today, you have elected people. If you just bring the numbers together, right, you represent a sizable part of the electorate, and you vote. UNDP supported the election commission, on the organization of the 3 tiers of elections last year. And we had special programs, especially for people who were hearing impaired. And we made sure that they had the right to vote and that their right was fulfilled. Right? And we found in the election commission very supportive senior government officials. So I think the question is not that there's no will, but I think it's an awareness, issue. Because of your, I wouldn't say invisibility, but your low visibility in society, and because of the lack of awareness on the other side of the dialogue, those two are negative. Right? So we need to kind of make sure that voice is given, platforms are created, but as the ambassador said, the government is not going to do it. The list of priorities of the government is endless. And unfortunately, too often, the issue of inclusion of people with disability is not in their priorities. They will agree that tourism sector is important, and they will develop tourism. They won't develop inclusive tourism, unfortunately, for the same reason as Madam Sherpa, I believe, right now, mentioned, because it's an area that very few people know. Right, so conferences like this, and the media visibility that we give it, the more we tweet about it, the more we talk about it, it's going to be helpful. Employment opportunities in tourism, and that's why we're so supportive of tourism sector, because it has a huge potential for job creation. It requires a lot of manpower. Now the problem in Nepal is that the more you train people and the better they are trained, the better they go abroad and put those skills at the service of other countries and not of Nepal. And that's particularly true in the hospitality sector. When I first met, the people from Pokhara, there's an association of hotel and restaurant managers. I'm not quite sure that they're titled, but around Lakeside, when I met them for the first time 3 years ago, I asked them about vocational training and courses, for waiters and hotel receptionists and all this. And they said, yeah, we train. The more we train, the more they fly away. And now, they bring remittances, and as a result, you have an economy that works well. That works not as bad as it could. But the issue is, how can the economy provide jobs that whose salary is sufficient so that they don't have to run to Qatar and Dubai and work in. I think the Qatari ambassador a few nights ago over dinner told me that 90% of the staff of the Doha airport is Nepali. Right? You're going to have more people in Doha airport than in some villages here in Nepal. Right, so there's something fundamentally wrong in this economic model, and obviously this is not for us here to fix, but this is something that we have to be aware of. So we need to provide, and we're going back to the idea of the incentives, we need to find incentives for young Nepali to stay in country and to really find the jobs that are just sufficiently well paid for them not to have to go through this hurdle of foreign migration. I think I'll leave it to that because the answer to my third question was awareness raising, but I think I've developed this point already. But let's let Deepak add some points.
We have a couple more questions.
Well, before we get there, Deepak, did you want to say something to this? We do need to remember, you asked about how do we use the tourism industry to create jobs, how do we build upon this? We have already seen the difference it can make. When we had the wounded heroes here, we had Nepalis with disabilities, amputees, double amputees who walked with them, who showed what they could do. When Hari Buddha climbs Mount Everest next spring as a double amputee, and he will be here with us tomorrow, I believe. This will bring a visibility to this, but what we wanted to do was to build the education network to train people who are differently able to participate in this emerging industry. And I know that we have a representative from Gates College here, the founder, who has talked about this a little bit, and could we ask him to just make a quick comment about what they are doing in terms of thinking about the people with different abilities and bringing them into the tourism or the hospitality industry?
Thank you, Ambassador Delisi. Delighted to be here. You just touched upon that vocational education, and we have 3 colleges outside Kathmandu. One is in Pokhara since August. And so this is particularly of my interest because how do we create awareness right from the young age? Because tomorrow when they become entrepreneur, or the employees, managers, general managers, safe. So they have this mindset already. To illustrate a little bit, in our college, from day one, we have somebody who is not the mainstream employee, but they're capable of doing their job. I have 3 now. In our 40 workforce, we have 3 who are completely differently able. But it absolutely works for us. They are no less than anybody. So I think this is what brings me to here, my deep interest. And then obviously, everyone is capable. I hear there's a common voice from everyone here that how do we keep young ladies and gentlemen here working for the nation? There's a huge gap, I see this. One, the construction industry is beginning to, have a crisis. They don't have enough people who are working here, and people are coming from the neighboring countries. And on the other hand, we have people, young people, going abroad for less than what they could earn here in the country. So I think that's the major challenge. So thank you very much, Your Excellency.
I'll just take 2 more questions, considering what time we have and we have other events. So I know we have one raised hand here.
Okay. Thank you for providing great opportunity. I am Amit Kesi. I am a visually impaired person. Last time I tried to climb Mount Everest and I reached 8,000 meters South Pole. Because of the lack of oxygen, I returned back. So if I could get opportunity, I will try to climb Mount Everest next season and then the next season. के निवेदन गर्न चाहन्छु कि visually impaired is an opportunity rather than disability. So we must create opportunity also. Disability is possibility then inability. भन्ने कन्सेप्टका साथ मैले सगरमाथा आरोहणको प्रयत्न गरेको हुँ र 72 साल वैशाख 8 गते जति बेला 72 साल वैशाख 8 गते मैले चाहिँ यो आइसल्यान्ड पिक को सफलतापूर्वक आरोहण गरेँ र फर्किने बेलामा झन्डै भूकम्पबाट बाँचेर फर्केको व्यक्ति वैशाख 12 गते काठमाडौँको होटलमा थिएँ र सोही वर्षको चैत्र 8 गते फेरि मैले मेरापिक को सफलतापूर्वक आरोहण गरेँ र गत 2017 मा म सगरमाथाको 8000 मिटरसम्म पुगेर म यहाँबाट चाहिँ फेरि अक्सिजनको अभावका कारणले गर्दा फर्केको हुँ र मेरो निवेदन के छ कि यहाँ हामी माग्नेहरूसँग पनि आग्रह के छ र दिनेहरू उहाँहरूसँग पनि मेरो निवेदन के छ भने हामीले माग्न के खोज्दैछौँ हामीहरूले कि टुरिज्म सेक्टरमा अपाङ्गता भएका व्यक्तिहरूलाई
के कस्ता कस्ता प्रकारको अवसरहरू हामी राज्यबाट माग्न खोजिरहेका छौँ र तपाईँहरू दिन के खोजिरहनु भएको छ। हामीले नमाग्दै एकजना दृष्टिविहीन व्यक्तिले सगरमाथा आरोहणको पर्यटन नगर्दै नेपाल सरकारलाई टुरिज्म बोर्ड टुरिज्म डिपार्टमेन्ट यहाँका चाहिँ सरहरूलाई थाहा छैन जस्तो मलाई बुझेँ मैले। जबकि दुईटा आँखा नभएका व्यक्तिहरू, दुईटा खुट्टा नभएका व्यक्तिहरू र दुईटा हात नभएका व्यक्तिहरूलाई चाहिँ सगरमाथा आरोहणका लागि प्रतिबन्ध भनेर उहाँहरू निर्णय गर्नुभयो। सगरमाथा आरोहणका लागि माउन्टेनियरिङको लागि एकातिर हामी कार्यक्रम टुरिज्म सेक्टरमा चाहिँ डिसेबिलिटी भएकालाई चाहिँ बाहिरबाट बोलाउने योजना बनाउँदैछौँ। तर नेपाल सरकार जहाँ चाहिँ सगरमाथा छ, जहाँ चाहिँ विश्वका 14वटा 8000 मिटरभन्दा बढीका हिमालहरू छन्, त्यो देशबाट चाहिँ हामी प्रतिबन्ध लगाउने योजना बनाउँदैछौँ। तपाईँहरूले यो टुरिज्म सेक्टर अथवा चाहिँ टुरिज्म पर्यटन बोर्ड अनि पर्यटन विभाग र चाहिँ यो सरकार प्रतिपक्ष र सत्तापक्ष जस्तो भएर यो हामी कार्यक्रम गर्दैछौँ कि हामीलाई थाहा छैन। मैले यो कुरा मैले सुने र त्यसपछि सँगसँगै आदरणीय हरिबहादुर बुढा उहाँको चाहिँ दुईटा खुट्टा नभएको व्यक्ति अफगानिस्तानको चाहिँ यो त्यो युद्धमा चाहिँ उहाँको चाहिँ खुट्टा गुमेको र उहाँले सगरमाथा आरोहण गर्दै गरेको भन्ने कुराहरू मैले सुनिसकेपछि म चाहिँ यो हराउन लागेको मेरो सगरमाथा आरोहणको यात्रा फेरि मलाई जाने काम गरौँ र माधव चौलागाई मेरो साथी उहाँ प्रेस युनियनको केन्द्रीय सदस्य उहाँ काम हुन्छ उहाँ र मैले मिलेर चाहिँ सर्वोच्च अदालतमा चाहिँ यो स्टे अर्डर जारी गराएका छौँ। सायद सहयोग यहाँहरू सबैको सहयोग रह्यो र दबाब सरकारलाई जतासुकैबाट दिन सक्यो भने अदालतले त हामीलाई सगरमाथा आरोहण गर्न दिन्छ अनि त्यो हाम्रो सरकारले के गर्छ मलाई थाहा छैन। त्यसो भएको कारणले गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ राष्ट्रिय आपदा महासङ्घको आदरणीय नेत्रीले त भन्नुभयो उहाँले हामीले के माग्न सक्छौँ भनेर दिनेहरूलाई सोध्नुभयो। दिनेहरूले चाहिँ हामीले मागेको कुरो दिन्छन् भने हामीले के माग्छौँ भनेर मागे अनि सोधेको कुरो दिन्छ, दिनेहरूले दिँदैन। त्यसो भएको कारणले गर्दा मैले त के लागेको हो त भन्दाखेरि चाहिँ हामी आफैले चाहिँ पहिले माग्ने कुरा क्लियर भयो भनेदेखि दिनेहरूले दिन्छन् कि दिन्नन्। So we must create opportunity ourselves. Nobody will provide opportunity. So everybody are competent in the world. भन्ने कुराहरू म राख्न चाहन्छु र हामी आफैलाई चेन्ज गरेर आफूभित्र रहेको अन्तर्निहित क्षमतालाई चाहिँ चिन्यो र अगाडि बढ्न सक्यो भने संसार बदल्न सकिन्छ, संसारलाई चेतनाको मार्ग फैलाउन सकिन्छ। तेन्जिङ शेर्पा र सर काठमाडौँ हिलारीले शुभारम्भ गरेको सगरमाथा आरोहणको यात्रा जसरी पछिल्लो चरणमा पासाङ लामो र दुईटा हात नभएका सुदर्शन गौतमहरूले नेतृत्व गरेर चाहिँ सगरमाथा आरोहण सफल गर्नुभएको छ। त्यसै गरी दुईटा खुट्टा नभएका चाहिँ हरिबहादुर बुढा मगर र चाहिँ दुईटै आँखा देख्न नसक्ने व्यक्ति अमित केसी हामी सँगै मिलेर चाहिँ सगरमाथा आरोहण गर्ने र विश्वलाई एउटा नयाँ सन्देश दिने एउटा मौका प्रदान हुन्छ होला सायद 2019 मा भन्ने कुराहरू पनि लागेको छ। र चाहिँ के त भन्दाखेरि हामी सरकारसँग लडेका छौँ, सरकारबाट चाहिँ हामी यो अधिकार फिर्ता ल्याएका छौँ न्यायको माध्यमबाट भने एउटा टुरिज्म बोर्ड र टुरिज्म विभागले नरोकोस् भन्नका लागि पनि म आग्रह गर्न चाहन्छु।
So your Osaka to say Hari Buddha Magar, can you stand up? Hari Buddha Magar भोलि हाम्रो keynote speaker पनि हुनुहुन्छ, is a double entity. अनि चौलागाईजी यहाँ हुनुहुन्छ अघि, चौलागाईजी कता हुनुहुन्छ बारेमा सुन्नुहुन्छ अनि एकैछिन अनि just before this conference we came 3 days ago in Radisson Hotel in Kathmandu हामीले pre-conference meeting गरेको थियो। त्यो pre-conference को presenter चाहिँ Mark English from New Zealand. He was the first double MPT to climb Mount Everest, and he's already gone. He's in base camp right now. So we are aware of Amit, we are aware of this law, and we have been engaged with Anil Cholagaiji, Hari Buddha Magarji, and Deepakji and many others. So thank you very much for your comments. We have 3 raised hands. I'm just going to take one John over here and there, 3 questions, and then we're going to call it back to tonight.
Namaste. Come on, you gotta get better than that. In America, when people say namaste to you, everyone else says namaste back. So, namaste. I don't know. That speech just fired me up. Because do you know what the theme is for this conference? Inspiration and perspiration. And that's the kind of inspiration that we need to gain momentum. And I really want to thank you. And it's fantastic, and I think that's going to pull forward tomorrow and make it much more exciting. So the one thing that I want to ask, and I want to thank the panel too for the fantastic presentations relating this to the bigger SDG goals throughout the world. But what we want to do here, what we want to find out to make this a possibility, make this dream a possibility, is we need champions. We need champions for the cause. We found a champion here in the private sector with Pankaj. He worked tirelessly over the accessible tourism segment and is willing to help us push it forward. But I want to ask Mr. Renaud here with UNDP, is it possible from the donor world that we can ask you and UNDP to be our champion and help push this forward? Because we are going to need funding. We are going to need expertise. We really need the help of the international community, but we need a champion to push this forward. So my question to you is, do you think this is in the realm of UNDP to be that partner for us? Thank you.
I think the presence of UNDP here and how enthusiastic we were to actually partner with NFDN and the Nepal Tourism Board should speak for itself. I mean, and it's not a question of an option for us. Right? As I say, I mean, this is fundamentally a human rights issue. And I think every single country that has ratified this should look at this way. Right? So, champion for sure. Right? Now, we also have to manage expectations, right? Because this is not something that we're not private sector, right? In the sense that we're not making investments in countries. The tourism sector, as we said before, is first and foremost led by private sector entities, and this is a very lucrative sector when it's well done. What we hope to push and where we can provide incentives is for this private sector-led tourism sector to understand that behind the market that they usually see, there's another market that is very much untapped. And numbers don't really exist here for Nepal. Numbers exist in Europe, numbers exist in the States, and we're talking billions of dollars worth of economies when you open up the tourism sector to the people with disability. They earn as much as anyone on average, right? So it doesn't take away their potential, and they certainly want to travel. So it's a question of adequation between demand and supply and offer. But I think that, as somebody said before, this could become a milestone in the sense that it really opens the eyes of many. And I think tomorrow we'll have some senior government officials come in. We certainly can play the role of providing this platform, providing this voice to our friends who are here, and some of them we know well when we work in other sectors. And we can certainly add this aspect of tourism and access as one of the issues that we want to continue advocating for. So we'll continue to be those who create discomfort for those who are too comfortable in their business as usual aspects. But again, where's my little booklet here? This can really help, right? And this is not only here to inform people, it's really here to empower people to claim their rights. So let's all do that, and I think we'll move somewhere.
Thank you.
I applaud the fact that UNDP is here. I welcome the fact that the Indian Embassy is represented here. We do need to get more bilateral partners to put this as a priority, just as it was hard when we began doing risk reduction education and awareness building. But eventually, in partnership with UNDP, we brought in more and more bilateral missions. But if you go, I would urge you to seek appointments with some of the bilateral donors. Ask them to hear you out. But you need to know what your narrative is. You need to tell them the story of why they should care, why this should matter to them, and then challenge them to incorporate the disability or the people who are differently abled component into all that they do. If they're doing agriculture, you ask them, what are you doing as well for people who are differently abled? If you're working in education, what are you doing in the education sector for people who are differently abled? Ask them to insist that every aspect of what they do as a diplomatic mission includes a component. It's a little thing, but we did this with risk reduction, insisting that everything they do, where's the risk reduction piece? Where's the differently abled awareness piece? That's part of your message, and that's part of your campaign that you've got to get out. I hope Renaud will indeed, as a representative of all the missions here in many ways, the UN speaks for all of us, his voice will matter, but yours will too. So again, you need to help lead that charge.
Just a follow-up. Number one, I do want to really thank you for being here and being our champion. So I think that's fantastic. Number two, in the program book, there is a section there on how accessible tourism is relative to development and how it can push all the development themes there. So again, that's a great point, Ambassador Delisi, of having a narrative, and the narrative is within our program book there. So there's some really good talking points that you can refer to when you go to these meetings.
Just we're going to take two more questions just quickly. I should have introduced earlier the question was asked by Ms. Yankila Sherpa. She was a previous tourism minister of Nepal. And also John Heather is a co-chair for this conference with me, and we both came from Washington DC. Thank you, John, for bringing a good question. And I really encourage you to read the booklet that came with the registration package if you can. Those information are on the website here. So we're going to ask two more quick questions. Try to shorten your comments, if there's a comment, because we're going to take a break tomorrow. We have all day, you have lots of opportunity to ask questions and participate in the panel. Okay, so here is the question.
धन्यवाद म पनि नेपालीमै त्यस्तो बुझ्नु हुन्छ त्यही भएर सबैभन्दा पहिले त अब यो कार्यक्रममा समावेश भएर आफ्नो कुराहरू अनि यहाँको कुराहरू सुन्न पाउन ज्यादै खुसी लागेको छ म एउटा यो कार्यक्रमको भाग भएकोमा यहाँलाई एकदमै धेरै धेरै धन्यवाद यो अपर्च्युनिटीको लागि र यत्रो धेरै उपस्थित छ एकदमै धेरै जिम्मेवार व्यक्तित्वहरू यहाँ हुनुहुन्छ मलाई धेरै अगाडिदेखि मनमा खर्किरहेको केही कुराहरू यहाँ समक्ष जिज्ञासाको रूपमा अनि सानो क्वेसनको रूपमा पनि राख्न चाहन्छु म क्लियर नभएको पनि हुनसक्छ त्यसमा म अन्यथा भएन म पहिले नै सरी भन्न चाहन्छु युएनडिपीको कन्ट्री डाइरेक्टर हुनुहुन्छ युएसको एम्बेसडर हुनुहुन्छ जिम्मेवार व्यक्तित्वहरू हुनुहुन्छ त्यसै गरेर पर्यटन बोर्डको व्यक्तित्वहरू हुनुहुन्छ सिबिएमको व्यक्तित्व हुनुहुन्छ इन्डियन एम्बेसीको व्यक्तित्व हुनुहुन्छ हामी अपाङ्गता क्षेत्रमा काम गर्ने नेपालको सङ्घ संस्थाको व्यक्तित्वहरू छौँ हामीले काम गरिराख्दाखेरि हामी जहिले पनि यो पछाडि परेको पर्वहरूलाई अगाडि उठाउने भनेर कुरा गर्छौँ र यो युएनसिआरपीको मर्म पनि अब विशेष गरेर युएन एजेन्सी कन्ट्रीहरूको अगुवाईमा यो अहिले 256वटा देशभन्दा बढीले रेक्टिफाई गरिसकेको कुरा यो हामी कार्यान्वयन गर्दै गर्दाखेरि हामी युएन एजेन्सीले युएनसिआरपी चाहिँ नेपालमा कार्यान्वयन गर्ने सन्दर्भमा केही त्रुटिहरू भएको छ कि जस्तो लागेको छ किनभनेदेखि युएन एजेन्सीहरूले अनि आइएनजिओहरूले आफ्नै कार्यक्रममा पनि अपाङ्गतालाई चाहिँ अलिक पछाडि चाहिँ राखेको जस्तो महसुस भएको छ कि किनभनेदेखि हामी इक्वल अपर्च्युनिटीको कुरा गर्छौँ जबको कुराहरू गर्छौँ होइन पहुँचयुक्तताको कुराहरू गर्छौँ हाम्रो अफिस अनि त्यसपछि हामीले प्रोभाइड गरेको जबहरूमा अपाङ्गता भएको व्यक्तिहरू छन् छैन हामीले डेलिभर गरेको प्रोग्रामले कति अपाङ्गता भएको व्यक्तिहरूलाई हामीले समेट्न सक्यौँ अथवा कति फोकस गर्न सक्यौँ भन्ने कुराहरू चाहिँ अलिकति हामीले सोच्नु जरुरी छ जस्तो लाग्छ किनभने मलाई चाहिँ अलिक छुटेको जस्तो लाग्छ आफू अपाङ्गता भएको कारणले पनि होला किनभने म विराटनगरमा रहेर काम गर्दाखेरि युएनडिपी अनि युनिसेफ होइन युएसएड जस्ता प्रोग्रामको एजेन्सी अर्गनाइजेसनहरूले काम गर्दाखेरि त्यो प्रोग्राममा म अपाङ्गताको अगाडि रहेर लिडर गरेर काम गर्दा पनि मैले त्यो अनुभूति गर्न सकिनँ अब हुनसक्छ काठमाडौँ अरूतिर हुनसक्छ होइन एकदमै छुटो मलाई अघि एकदमै खुसी लाग्यो हाम्रो युएनडिपीको कन्ट्री डाइरेक्टरले यहाँनिर चाहिँ जेन्डर इक्वलिटी भएन अगाडि हामी चाहिँ सबै पुरुष भयौँ भनेर भन्नुभयो त्यहाँ डिसेबल इक्वालिटीको पनि कुरा भएन कि यसरी हेर्दाखेरि पछाडि को परेको छ भन्दाखेरि महिलाभन्दा पनि अपाङ्गता चाहिँ अझै धेरै पछाडि परेको छ किनभने महिलाभित्रको अपाङ्गताको कुरा गर्छौँ हामी आदिवासी जनजातिभित्रको अपाङ्गताको कुरा गर्छौँ त्यसरी हेर्दाखेरि विकासको प्रक्रियामा सबैभन्दा तल परेको चाहिँ अपाङ्गता भएको व्यक्ति त्यसको विविध कारण छ अहिले हामीले एक्सेसिबिलिटीको कुरा गरिरहेका छौँ त्यो पनि एउटा कारण हो त्यो भएको कारणले गर्दाखेरि हामीले अब किन फोकस नगर्ने अपाङ्गतालाई विकास प्रक्रियामा अगाडि ल्याउनलाई हामीले अपाङ्गतालाई किन फोकस नगर्ने त्यो भएको कारणले यहाँहरूलाई हार्दिकतापूर्वक अनुरोध गर्दछु कि अब हामीले स्पिच दिँदै गर्दाखेरि सबैभन्दा पहिले डिसेबिलिटी किन नगर्ने त्यो भएको कारणले यहाँलाई हार्दिक अनुरोध गर्न चाहन्छु र हामीले विशेष गरेर जब अपर्च्युनिटीको एकदमै समस्या छ हैन यहाँहरूले सपोर्ट गर्दा नेपाल गभर्नमेन्टलाई सपोर्ट गर्दा फेरि तपाईले यो कति वर्षसम्म चाहिँ अपाङ्गता भएको व्यक्तिहरूको जबको पर्सेन्टेज चाहिँ बढाउन सक्नुहुन्छ त्यो भएको कारणले हामी यसको सपोर्ट गर्न सक्छौँ भन्ने यहाँले एउटा ठुलो राखिदिनु भयो भने मैले राजनीतिक सहभागितामा हामीलाई अपाङ्गता र पछाडि परेको वर्ग भनेर भन्दाखेरि हाम्रो सहभागिता छुटिरहेको छ अनि अपाङ्गतालाई किन फोकस नगरेर तपाईँहरूले भनेर यहाँले राखिदिनु भयो भने अझै सजिलो हुन्छ हाम्रो राइट्स त हामी जहिले पनि अब भोलिन्टियरली हामी गरिरहेको छौँ तर भोलिन्टियरली हाम्रो राइट्स कति सुनिन्छ भन्ने कुरा यो 20-25 वर्षको दौरानमा हामीले धेरै कुराहरू महसुस गर्न सक्छौँ त्यो भएको कारणले यहाँहरूको पनि त्यतिकै भूमिका हुन्छ भन्ने अनुरोध गर्न चाहन्छु धन्यवाद
I think this was a today's session यहाँ किनभने भी हाम्रो 7 बजेदेखि अर्को कार्यक्रम छ हामीले लेक साइडमा पुग्नुपर्छ डिनरको लागि so I want to thank all of you. We started this session with the topic we thought we were going to have a donor agencies and their role and then we got encouraged to change the topic. I mean, towards the end, I want to invite Amrita Diwali and Nandini ma'am to the front. So we're going to do a token of love and the khada for our speakers, and then I have a small logistics. Small logistics is that those who have a badge, I want you to go from the left, this side, my left side. Those who don't have a badge, go from the right side so you can pick up a coupon. We're going to go to Lakeside, there's a bus arrangements for dinner. And you have lots of opportunity to interact with all of us. Thank you very much. So, Nandini ma'am and Amrita.
Thank you. This is one of my dear friends, too.
Excuse me.
I remember you very well.
भोलि बिहान यहाँ 8:30 we want everyone to be here by 8:30. We will start program by 8:45. We have the state chief minister, state tourism minister, and lot more people joining us. And I want to also let you know that we have participation from number of countries from US, Canada, India, and we're also expecting participation from China, Japan tomorrow. Thank you.